know that our human potential is infinite, and the expansion that is possible for us, especially in this day and age with so much spiritual growth and technological advancement, is really at our fingertips. And if anything, what I wish is that people would be more able to bring all this down into the body. A lot of times when we get very intellectually curious, we keep a lot of things up in the head, and a lot of times we forget that the body wants to integrate that. Same with spiritual practices and concepts can take us out of the body a lot, and we find sometimes hard to stay on the ground, to stay present, to keep our bodies not only pain-free, but also in pleasure, in joy, feeling good. For many years, as I was a successful practitioner, especially in New York where I started, I was concentrated in helping people stay out of pain or move out of pain, and pain was the most common thing I would be talking about all day long. And in the last couple of years, actually since COVID, maybe 3-4 years ago, I started thinking, wouldn't it be more fun and exciting for me to move people towards pleasure, right? Because it's the same concept, moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure. So that's how I want to frame the session today. And it begins with creating a setting for you where pleasure and feeling good is invited. Yeah, so give you an example. I made the temperature in the house a little warmer right now because I know I'm going to take off my robe and I don't want to be cold. I am wearing soft fabrics that feel really good in my body. I have a nice little blanket under my feet, so it feels nice and warm. I may have a candle on, inviting music. And you may think, oh, that's all the fluff. But actually, it creates the set and the setting for an experience. And sometimes it creates a sort of a ritual around the practice where you are telling yourself, now I take time for myself. This is my me time. And your body begins to recognize those signals. And then all you have to do, if you're having a busy day, if you're in the middle of work or something happens at home or you're very stressed, all you have to do is close your eyes for a moment, or not even, but think about that moment where you get to be with yourself. And the receptors in your brain will remember all that setting and the feelings that happen when you're doing that and how good it is for you. And it becomes almost like an anticipation of the actual practice. So you're creating some sort of a scenario for yourself, a landscape that you can then recall from your heart and in your thoughts. Put in the chat if you know why the feet and ankles can release your neck and shoulders and improve the carriage of your head, the position of your head in space. Diaphragms, well, the breath is always connected to everything. So you improve your breath, everything improves. But here we're gonna work with the feet and ankles and the neck and shoulders today with self-massage. And I want you to create this awareness to understand why they are related and how powerful that is, that if you give yourself a 15 minute feet and ankle massage, you will notice immediately your neck improving. Oh, wow. Yeah, Ginger, I feel for you. We can make your food better today. No ideas, no takers on this riddle? Why do you think our neck, the position of your head and neck, affect your ankles? And vice versa. And this is something that actually you can look it up on Google when we're done. But I'll give you the short of it. Okay, so let's begin by thinking, how big, how heavy do you think your head is? It's heavy. If you ever try to lift somebody else's heavy head when they're on the floor, you will see how heavy it is. The head is about 12-14 pounds. And in kilos, I think it's like 5.5 or something like that. Yeah, it's big, it's heavy, yeah. the adult head. And we tend, I don't know if this is you, but I see it in myself, I see it in people I work with, we tend to carry the head a bit forward and or down, right? Because conditioned to look at the floor as we walk, to look at our devices and even books, down, to eat. Everything we do is usually in front of us, but lower than our horizon, the level of our eyes if the head is up. So when that happens, the weight gets pulled forward, and our whole body, which acts as an organism, responds all the way from the bottom, from the feet, all the way up, creating a minor contraction on the lower back, which is a reflex. It's almost like if you had like a hair clip, right, on your lower back, bing, grabbing the lumbar spine there, so to avoid you falling further down, because for your brain, it's unknown that you're gonna stop there. It's possible that you keep going and you're gonna hit the floor. So immediately your body reflexes to grab you, to stop you from falling. And on the feet, the weight goes to the front, to the ball of the feet. Just try it right now if you want to. You can stand up, bring your head forward and down a little bit, and you'll see immediately the reflex on the lower back, clamping the muscles there. And your feet change weight distribution and they go in the front. The heels kind of like lift a bit. And this creates a lot of tension in the ankles, because the ankles are like imagine like a ball in there. It's more complex than that, but just for you to picture, imagine like something that is rotating, trying to find stability. Kind of like you see this in tripods sometimes, or some mechanicals. Yeah, so the vestibular system, which keeps you balanced, begins to adapt to the weight, the extra 10 pounds, 12 pounds that are now pulling down and forward. And the ankles grab. Yes? It's really interesting. And we're not going to go into theory because it's an experiential session. I simply want you to have that insight and that awareness, because they affect one another. So if you're feeling neck pain, tension, shoulder pain, sometimes you don't want to go in there first because it's already a little irritated. It might feel okay, but it's more yielding. It gives you better results to go other areas, to go from the furthest place you can, especially if you're doing this to somebody else, with somebody else, but even with yourself, to not create any defense mechanisms, any resistance, not irritate anything that is already painful, and simply support and release something that can make an impact one-to-one. And in this case, your feet and ankles. If you want to play with somebody with this, a friend or family member, loved one, you begin to work on their ankles and you'll see all kinds of adjustments take place on the neck by itself. And they may say, wow, what you're doing it feels like it's releasing something on my neck. It's really neat. For those of you that just arrived, because I see some people joined in late, today we're going to do a self-massage specific to the neck. Of course, the jaw, because the jaw is so connected to tension on the neck, shoulders, and our feet and ankles. And we're going to explore this one-to-one relationship. So if you want to, if you're not clear about how does it feel to walk, go and take a few steps around the room, because that's where you're going to see the biggest difference in the sensation of your feet, ankles, and neck when we're done. Feldenkrais is really keen on watching people walk and having you observe your own walk. Walking is a fingerprint like for your body. No two people have the same walk. In your walk, there's so many habits encoded that you could recognize a friend from a block away by the way they walk. So you getting familiar with your walk and improving the awareness of your walk, even the pacing, even how fast or how heavy are you on your feet and ankles when you walk, can have a big impact, everything in your whole spine, but especially up here. Okay, so now you have an idea. Let me know if the music is okay, because I have it. And we're going to begin actually with the oil preparation. And today I have a different oil for you. I'm going to repeat for those of you that weren't here the first time. The way I love to work with my oils is I get a mug and I put a lot of hot water in it, very, very hot. And then I have this tiny camping like metal cup, and I put the oil inside of it. So it keeps the oil very warm throughout. Massaging with hot oil is always so much nicer than cold oil. And I have a couple different oils to recommend. One we used last week was a coconut oil. And today I want to recommend this Ayurveda oil, which you can also see in my website. What I like about this preparation, which is sesame based, is that it's very rich and deep. It just stays in the skin longer. And the different preparations there support your system. So it's all based on Ayurvedic science. And if you have a complexion that needs balance, like I carry a lot of air and fire in my complexion, so oils that balance that are really good for me. So as you could see, I placed the oil in the little cup. I'm not using too much, and I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit. And I have another thing to share with you today, but we'll use that a little later when we come to the shoulders. We're gonna begin by sensing with your hands what is the level of tension on your neck. And right now for me it feels pretty good, but it has been worse after working in the computer all day. So begin with the first level of touch, and I'll repeat what that is for you if you weren't here last week. The first level of touch is the level of skin to skin contact, and it's mainly about discovery. It's mainly about listening, making first contact and saying, I'm here. Can you trust me? I'm here. Can we go there? I'm here. Let me see what's going on. Just very, very gentle. There's no pressure at all. You're basically just feeling the shapes, contacting the skin, and maybe the lightest level of movement gives you some sense of the fascia, tightness anywhere. So let's see how things are, right? How much tension do you hold in your jaw? And as you connect with the skin, you can also connect with holding, which means beginning to give your weight to yourself, as if you were leaning somewhere and you can trust that that surface is supporting you. You begin to hold yourself. And what that creates is a trust signal where your musculature begins to relax. So now as I contact my face, I feel there's more tension on the right side. Definitely can feel it's a little bigger even and harder. So moving down or into the second level of touch where you apply a little more pressure, and we can call that the musculature or muscle touch, where you're just looking for muscle and thicker areas of tissue, and just begin to feel it out. Okay, and now taking time, I'm gonna show you now for the shoulders, taking time to feel the back of your shoulder here. We hold so much on our shoulders. So feel, and if you go from skin to muscle, you may feel a little bit of tightness, like you could say it's an area that is a little knotted or hard. And then do the same thing for the other side. And watch, at the beginning we're observing, because we're gonna go deeper today, so we don't have to rush. We're observing what's going on. And if you notice tension, more tension on one side, you can begin by holding. And by that, to do that, you can go to the third level, which is the level of bone, and go straight for the bony part of you and lift. I know my right shoulder is super tense because I feel it when I work, so hold. This is a Feldenkrais principle. We hold first, we join first, hold. My arm is almost limp, it's just resting. And why do you want to hold? Because you want to recreate what your muscle is doing all the time. And when you hold, your brain receives the signal, much like when you lean, on a table or somebody else's shoulder, and you can take a breath and rest. Same thing happens here, and it's tiny, but it will create a difference. So even just holding a little bit, don't do both sides, do one at a time so you can feel the difference. Holding for maybe a minute or two as you breathe, and then relax and feel the difference between the arm that you held and the one that you didn't. It's typically a little lower. You can see even on the camera with me. So now do the same thing with the other shoulder. And we begin with the top because it's easier for you to see. Thumbs up. Okay. All right, so holding, maybe holding and moving a little. If you tend to carry your shoulders forward, we're just grabbing the bone and holding, because it wouldn't make sense to go poke into the muscle tension without providing any support first. This is how we Feldenkrais massage. Okay, come down and relax, and now see my shoulders are the same height, and that took about a minute. Now if you tend to carry the shoulders forward a lot, which is very common, I'm going to say hold there. Just let your body, for two reasons. Once you identify what you're doing, and remember you need to know what you're doing to do what you want. First principle, if you're driving in an unknown land, you don't know where you are, you don't know how to get out of there. Okay, so identify the habit, observe. You can close your eyes and observe your breath, your heart contracting, and then begin to just create an option where you're going to, and soon we're going to do it with the massage itself, give a little more width to your frame. Just think of geometry, think of width and length. Don't worry about pushing the shoulders back or making an effort here. Simply think the sternum is long and the shoulders are wide. And the sternum kind of lifts like you had a little flashlight pointing forward. And that sometimes is all you need to take care of your posture. You know, look at the difference in my collarbones, and everything contracts and shrinks. It's short and narrow. And as I lengthen and widen, I don't need any effort. Okay, so this is gonna get better after we massage it. So now I'm gonna tie my hair simply so it can go into my neck, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna take just a little bit of oil in your palm. Yes, Trish, basic principle for Feldenkrais people. We're gonna begin. Oh, this oil feels so good. So I can already love the smell of it. I first get my hands and wrists nice and prepared, and then begin to just again touch. We're gonna go from the jaw, support. If your tension is here, hold up against gravity and clench a bit, because that's what you're doing anyway all the time. And create a little movement. You're alternating for your own need, depending skin, muscle, and grabbing the bone. So let's just play with that, guys, because that is something that you will use throughout the whole body. So notice the difference between skin, going into the cheekbone muscle, and I'm gonna call it muscle, but there's a lot of layers there. There's tendons, ligaments, fascia, and then the bone. The bone is precise. You're just grabbing the basic handlebars of the jaw and connecting with it with the fingertips without poking, but it's such a precise touch that you could move ahead very lightly and see how free is the neck from the bone. From the muscle, it's different. The muscle touch is designed for something else. So now begin to create just a little mobility and see what is possible. And then if you can, see if you can take it a little left and right. Not so much that it cracks, just a little. And notice that I'm moving also my neck. And breathing. Connected to the earth, my feet are on the ground. Okay, relax. Feel it. See if you can feel a difference already. Only just the jaw, because it's foundational. And the little space that you can have right there between upper and lower jaw that is also sometimes clipping, clenching. And now move down towards the base of your skull and your neck, and see that we're gonna move it a little bit and then move down onto your feet and see that it's gonna feel much different. So go to the muscle and feel any tightness. Explore the area where you could grab and pick up some of the slack of the musculature, two sides of the spine, and grabbing, holding. And as you hold, grab the muscle slack, we call it, like the extra, and move the head up and down slowly. And notice the tension changing, and it's gonna feel at some point that it's beginning to contract a lot, picking up all that weight of the head carried down, and then it's less, and when the head is somewhere up, there's less tension there, and you're noticing because you're holding the muscle. And see if you can identify, thinking that the top of your head is has a flashlight or a piece of charcoal or something, and you can make a line on the ceiling. Where is that point where I'm making a dot, light or charcoal or paint directly to the ceiling and not in front and not behind? And notice the tension changing on the shoulders, okay? Again, we are creating what we call in Feldenkrais a first approximation to this. And now again, come to the front. And this is the other area that gets crunchy and collapse when we look down. So go with that first, thinking that in between each rib there's muscle, intercostal muscle between the ribs. And you can go from skin to muscle touch, increasing the pressure lightly without poking, and dig just enough until you see the base of the edge of the sternum. And as you go down there, so we covered this generally last week, now we're going to go in depth. Breathe, of course, don't hold your breath, and imagine you're cleaning your ribs as if you could floss. And you can use one hand with the long arm, and you can use the other hand to go to the edge. And this will feel so nice when you're done. And of course, cleaning the whole rib cage could take us a long time, so we're just gonna do the top ribs for you to learn this. Now, the important thing here is I'm not holding for dear life here, like the death grip. Okay, I have a gentle amount of tension on my hand, because if this hand is really tense, what is transferring to the rest of the body is tension, especially if you're massaging now somebody else, which you could. And I noticed that holding my arm up there, though it creates nice lymph flow, it's a little bit hard and efforting, so I'm putting it down on my sofa. And breathing and tracing each rib and imagining you're cleaning them. And again, do only one side first so you can feel the difference. When you get up here, this is your collarbone, and your collarbone is thick. It's like a handlebar. So you can clean it as well. And why do I say clean it? Is because there's all these little attachments that get kind of tight and stiff, and they need sometimes to be freer. Okay, so the collarbone on the top. And before we get into the shoulder itself, just feel the difference between that shoulder, that front of the ribs area, and the other one. And look for a word that describes the sensation, some image or word. For me, feels more awake. So as you begin to find words, images, sensations, you begin to map in your awareness the benefits of this work. Now, we talked about the sternum here, and just so you know, the sternum at the edge is pliable, it has cartilage and it can be moved. We're gonna move it after we do the two sides. So now let's go back to the shoulder. I'm gonna get more oil, come back to the top of the shoulder, and let's get into this area too that we're gonna clean or floss. This is really important for everybody, but a lot of women in my practice, they hump. I don't know if this is you. So this area is kind of pulled in and forward, and there's a lot of development here in the muscle back there, like growth, almost like a little hump. So go from the circles around the spine all the way down. And now we are at the top of the shoulder blade. At the top of the shoulder blade, my arm is hanging, and here as well. So we free the shoulder, we free the neck. You can use the same side to get closer to the spine. And here's where you might feel knots. So I have a special treat for that I don't know that you could replicate right now, but I wanted to share with you, which is this hot stones that I use. So you warm up the stone. I'll show you the back when we do our feet, and you can place it there and breathe, because this is an area right here where most of the knots are, most of the adhesions. And so warming up, making circles with hot stones is amazing. If you don't have access to stones, your hand is enough. If you have any other stone, like some crystal stones work as well for this. It's that idea that you're taking something in the area that is harder, the muscle is tighter. You can use something other than your thumbs and fingers, so you can save your hands that way. And the warmth is amazing when you have a hot stone there. Okay, so feel the difference. And you can see that it's getting lower and wider and more relaxed, right? Yeah, tools are good. Suk Dev says feels lighter. I love that. Yeah, so let's take that now down into the whole arm. So we're gonna do the triangle of the neck, shoulders, into the arms. And for the arms, I want you to imagine that you are going to squeeze out as if you're squeezing out of a tube, like a toothpaste tube or something. Squeeze with muscle touch, deeper, all tension towards one finger and then the next. You can breathe and imagine you're releasing tension from typing, from computer work, from holding things, from doing things in the house, one at a time, from every finger. And then exploring your bone touch, getting through these two bones. The lower arm has two bones, that's why it can rotate. So getting your finger in the middle of it. And again, looking for creating more space, more length, imagining you're cleaning it or flossing it. When you get to the to the wrist, you're gonna use your fingers holding on bone to mobilize the wrist with very little effort. So the hand is almost like limp and you're pressing, lifting on the bone and taking care, especially if there's tension there. Holding on that bone edge. Each bone has a little edge, like a head, where you can lever. See, I'm using both sides. And lift without any pressure, without any tension. Actually taking care of releasing the tension from all the typing. Because when you do this, you're not activating the muscle to do that movement. You're lifting from the bone. So it's very relaxing. Of course, we could take our time and go into each knuckle. We probably did that last week, so I'll send you to my website to get that recording, because we're not going to focus on the hands today, but on the feet. So just feel the whole arm compared with the other. And use it to do something like reach, and use the other one. And look for a word, a descriptor, a sensation. This one for me feels less sticky. There's a little more freedom towards the back. This one is feels like stuck together. So what is your word for it? A word that you can use to remember this. And now, when you're ready, let's take care of the other arm. And of course, if you have questions, place them in the chat. I'll put more oil, just a little bit. Love the scent of it. And begin to now cover the whole arm. It feels well oiled, right? Yes, from the inside out. I love it. Yeah. So now here, I'm gonna go the same sequence, but if for you what feels that needs the most care is the arm, go first there, right? It's all about taking care of you and what do you need and how does it feel. So I'm gonna go ribs first, in my case, because I love that. Thinking cleaning in between the ribs. Oh, Ginger, thank you for that. Yes. That's why I encourage you to not first say, oh, this hurts, let me just massage that which hurts. But for me personally, I don't know why, but cleaning my ribs like this feels really, really good. So sometimes at night, before bed or in bed, I will just do this and relax so much that I fall asleep. Because knowing the movements that give your body pleasure and feeling good and being playful and being kind to yourself can go a long way. Not only physical body, but also your nervous system, health, your emotions. So see that I'm doing many ribs at the same time here. I already showed you the one rib at a time. So imagine you have chopsticks, or you can go in between with each hand, and you don't need to know exactly the shape. Usually you will see that they are in some sort of diagonal, but you don't need to see that necessarily unless you're curious. Go to an anatomy book or Google it. But really feeling into it. Now see, from both sides, you can move your whole upper body. And guess what this is doing in the back, guys? If you can't feel it, I may be able to show you. So I'm gonna move my ribs and look, watch. Do you see my shoulder blades moving? So I'm moving my ribs in the front, but of course my arms move and my shoulder blades glide, and there's all this nice movement that is really hard to do with our hands because we don't reach there. Our cervical spine, we don't get to really move it with our hands, we don't reach there, but you move it from the front. It's really neat. You are right, Erin. All these tiny intercostal muscles get really tight when we are on the phone, and all this forward clenching, they actually get short and tight. So what we're doing here is reminding them of their natural length. It's like a rubber band that is always tight, and we are extending it to its natural length. And you can breathe. Yes, amazing. Yep. So see that we could take a lot of time here. I'm not going to go in depth in this side as we did with the other one, but I want you to remember that you can take as much time as you want, looking for all the areas here that imagine them being rusty or thirsty. That's even a better image. Like a plant when you forgot to water it and you said, oh my God, it's dead, but you give it water and it comes back to life. So when you're massaging in this Feldenkrais way, where you're not rushing, you're supporting first, you're going with the pattern and creating the option to come back to length, you are nourishing it and reminding it of its natural quality. So here I feel another knot. Like I come up here, I go in circles and I go, there's like a kruk, 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 kruk. So I'm gonna grab my stones. I'll show you what they look like. It's a box, my favorite product that I own. Box keeps them hot, portable. You can even take them in your car, believe it or not, because it has a car charger. And I'll place it right away, right there. Now for some people it's too hot, you can make them less hot. For me, I like heat and I like the hard edge, you see, with the hard edge. So with the heat, especially if you can stay there and breathe a little, the muscle begins to relax under the heat. And then with the edge, you save your hands. You use a tool, you save your hands. If you had no choice but to use a cold, this is a basalt stone, but if you needed to use another, like say crystal, I would just be gentle and do the same thing. Doesn't feel the same when it's cold, but it still can give you that chance to go in circles around the area where it feels tight, and sometimes in the front too if it feels really tight, warming it up first as you work the back. And now guess what? The knot's gone. And I didn't have to poke and poke and poke with my hands. Yes, Erin, everything is on my website. So you can go to my teachers page, you see my link tree, all my favorite things are there. The edge in between the ribs, though your fingers are enough. I don't want you to think that you need anything other than your hands. And it's good to have, if you have, like I work with people all the time, so I want to save my hands. Otherwise I would have arthritis in no time. Okay, so now just a little more and come to the whole arm. And don't worry, this oil absorbs really well, so even if you put a little too much, it will get absorbed by your skin. Coming to the idea of squeezing. You're welcome, love. Erin, thank you. Thank you for asking. Squeezing as if you're getting that last bit of toothpaste out of the tube. We've all been there, hand cream, right? Because what happens is that and turning, which we call the ringing motion, as if you're squeezing out of water out of a wet towel or rag, is helping the porous nature of your tissue, no matter if it's muscle, fascia, or what, to regain its flexibility, its quality. Let's say again this image of being dry, and you're going in the direction, usually is turning in, is the direction of habit when we collapse, right? So you follow that, which is what the muscle is already doing all day long, and then go away from it and turn out and squeeze. And squeeze towards each finger. I'm not using a ton of pressure. I'm simply being very clear, intentional with my hands. If you have tension in your hands, especially look for that recording on my website, because I covered the hands last week or 2 weeks ago. Okay, so now shake a little bit and feel the difference in your two arms. Feel how much lighter everything feels now. And come back to your neck. See, it wouldn't make any sense to just give it all the attention to the neck without including this triangle, this upper body triangle and the ribs, because it's all connected. Now, the front of the neck is very, very important. So, a little attention to the front of the neck, because it also gets very short, tight, and wrinkled. So imagine with your fingers, you can deliver information. Your hands are flashlights to your brain, so you're giving it this message of length and connection from the sternum all the way up and the back. And now we have almost like a makeover for the upper body, right? Shoulders, neck. But we're gonna make it even better by working with our feet and ankles. So now we'll tilt the camera so you see my feet. No, on my website, Ginger, it's a self-massage class. It's on my homepage. Okay, so see if you can, you're welcome. See if you can see now. I was trying to get this right so you can see the whole foot, because we're gonna work with the anatomy of the foot and the ankle. Okay, so I know it's tricky, but hopefully you can see it very well. And notice that I have now here a pillow. So it's higher. So I don't have to collapse now and right? I don't wanna undo all the good stuff I did for my neck and shoulders. So you stay upright and elevate your foot. And begin by creating contact and picturing your foot like a fan, and creating this image from the heel to each toe. We're gonna be working with that and relaxing your leg, your whole leg. So beginning with gentle rubbing motion, okay? And beginning with, again, holding the pattern. Usually the pattern is what? We collapse, contract our feet into shoes. And they get really tight. And sometimes they fall inward because we inner rotate the legs. Okay, so do that a couple times. Provide your body the support. And now we begin to just create awareness of all the lines. We're gonna begin with the arch from heel to toe. And you can go gentle with skin touch and close in to more of a pressure type touch with following the muscle, and then into the bone, reminding your foot that it has an arch. So important. We lose this arch when we walk so much. And getting it all the way to the pillow of the foot, and as you hold with the other hand, tug. Just tug gently and make a little circle. Again, this is a foot special, so I want to take a little time to describe more in depth the movements of each foot. Second toe from the heel to the second toe, creating again that awareness from skin, little deeper into the tissue and then into the bone, as if you could mark in your foot. That's right. And then when you get there, tug and make a little circle. If I teach workshops of this or my retreats, we actually use a marker and we mark the lines so you know where you are, both back and front. So you can do that too. Take a pen, draw the line, and you will be able to feel it more easily. Now getting into the front, you will see the same thing. There's a line there, bony line that you can find easily. So you're grabbing both top and bottom. And then the third toe, you can switch hands if it's easier. Same idea, from the heel to the toe and tug, pull. That's right. Not so much that it cracks, but enough that you're lengthening it. Again, thinking in width and length. In little circles. Making sure that the ankle gets more and more relaxed. We are relaxing the ankle from the toe and the toe and the metatarsal that goes all the way to the heel. And then the fourth toe. Same idea, you're tracing the line, pulling a little bit, tugging. The feet are very resilient, so it's easy to pull on them. And then the pinky. The pinkies. They get so forgotten. The pinkies. Yes. Okay, now you have 5 toes, right? So what do we do with these 5 toes? We want to spread them a little bit, as if you could create more space between the web of the toes, and then interlace your hand. And this may hurt if you've never done it, so you have to push your way a little bit and then make a circle. Yeah. And breathing and change the direction and let the whole ankle feel this. That's right. You can also move anything here in the front. You can move the metatarsals in very different directions. You can use the knuckles of your hand and work the whole sole of the foot. Of course, having stones is very helpful. So you have a stone, you can use it to warm up the foot first, and then use the stone to do the same thing. Feels amazing. Okay. And of course you could go the whole leg. That's what we did a couple of weeks ago, but today I want to focus on even just the feet. 5-10 minutes can give you such release. Now we're gonna clap on the foot. With limp hands, no effort. Just the weight of the hands, waking up. And then we're gonna grab it from the ankle, interlace your hands, get a nice grip, and let it shake. And now place it on the floor. Guys, hello, I'm here. Place it on the floor and feel the difference in the aliveness of the right foot. If you use the right one, I did the right one, and the other one. Yeah, different. And move the toes, if you can, move the toes. Grab something, or imagine you're gonna grab something from the floor with it. 5-10 minutes, huh? And now the other one. Move the other one and feel the difference. Yes, it's whole new foot. Yes, so good, right? So we're gonna do the other one. I'm gonna come back to this different angle here. Place a pillow so you can brace your foot. And if you have trouble or you have a belly or something, you can put this on a chair in front of you, or a pillow, or a sofa. Provide yourself as much support as you need, so you don't need to tense up in your whole body to be able to do this. So warm everything up with the oil and begin by creating a little bit of friction and heat. Unless you have the stones, you can use the stones, and then squeeze. Breathe and squeeze. And the principle here is we hold first and we make it easier for the body to say, yeah, that's what I do. I squeeze my feet into these shoes all day long. It's okay, no worries, but this is what it feels like they're on a scrunchie, right? It's okay. It's non-corrective. The approach is not to make you feel bad. It's simply to recognize, oh wow, that's what it feels when my shoes are on high heels. Look at that, incredible. Okay, and now begin to create awareness of the band. We call this the band of the toes, as if it's a big band. A band, and a band can be wide. So we begin to provide now more mobility and elasticity. And now thinking heel, yes, the heel to the toes like a fan. And I already oiled it, so I can't really do it. But I could take a marker, for example, and draw a line from the heel to each toe first, right? So you have your guidelines, your GPS, okay? Because that's the line you're using. First, the arch, and you can hold with one hand. Notice I have a little scarf here, so I'm not oiling my pillow. You want to remind yourself of the 5 lines of the 5 toes. And here's where it becomes really useful to use knuckles or a stone, because if you do this often only with your thumb, it could be painful. It could be painful on your thumbs, right? So when you get to this bone here, which is the one that is always contacting the floor, and for some of us is where we grow bunions, it could be tender, so gentle. Remember that always circles create more and more release if there's tension, so you can gently go into circles and get all the way to the toe and tug. Pull gently and do little circles. And you can hold your foot from the middle and do little circles, and you're actually making circles from the metatarsal all the way up, the head of the metatarsal. And then the same thing for each toe. Once you learn it, it's not that hard to remember. The second and third toe, in a way, are not as crucial for our balance and stability and the best efficiency of the leg as the fourth toe and the big toe. These two are crucial. They are like a tripod or triangle of support that we want to have always awake and alive. So I would say if you're going to spend the most time, spend in the big toe and the fourth toe, because those two really feel different when you stand on them, when you're standing up. Okay? And then the pinky. I love the pinky because, you know, they say we don't need it and we could just get rid of it. Anatomically, I say, no, pinkies are beautiful. So let's go. Give some love to the pinkies. Okay, you can tug on each of them. And here what is important, guys, like I notice in myself right now, I have to be on my tiptoes to have this up. So let's reduce that tension. I don't want to have tension on my hip either. So now you have 5 toes. My point with that is you don't want to create tension in other areas if you're massaging your feet. So check in with the rest of you. The front. Yes, in between the toes, kind of like how we cleansed the ribs earlier. This part can have also a lot of tension. And then you could go in depth in the bones of the ankle if you want to, around and around. And then interlace, which can take your time if you don't do this often. I do this often, so you see how easily for me it is, but it takes time sometimes because they are crunched. And do little circles. hold your foot and circles in both directions as you breathe. And here you can spend a lot of time. You can do movements up and down, left and right, circles. Because this is what your foot never does. All the stability is created by the ankle when we are in shoes, because the shoe is kind of like in a box. Sorry, when the foot is kind of like in a box, right? When we are wearing them, so the ankle gets all the challenge. But if you're barefoot, and as we're doing this, you're creating all that mobility on the toes that is very important for stability, balance, uprightness. Okay, so now that we have a nice alive foot, we're gonna hit it to create even a little more warmth and energy. We're gonna just clap on it. And shake. Get a good hold so you can really shake the foot without being afraid. And feel the difference. Feel the difference on your foot. And tell me, how does it feel? Tell me in the chat. Do you feel like you have new feet? And if you close your eyes, can you sense the whole leg of that foot you worked with? Not just the foot, but the whole leg. Oh, Ginger, thank you for saying that. Broken foot loved it. Amazing. Okay, so here's where we come to closer to the end. So we're gonna warm up again. You could go for a walk and feel your feet now and feel your ankles now and see the difference. But I would like to take this moment here as we wrap up to gather all the attention inside again. Because the message is clear. The message is our bodies adore when we take care of them, when we listen to them, when after a long day of being on our feet or being on the computers, we give some time to our shoulders, our feet, our jaws. So my idea here for you is that you choose one thing, maybe if you don't have a whole hour, one thing, by asking your body, what do you need today? How can I support you? So in that sense, I'll give you my favorite one after feet, shoulders, which is to come to your scalp, because also we are big thinkers. We're overthinking all day long. So with gentle fingertips, with maybe like a muscle touch into bone touch, create little circles and relax everything else. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, and allow your scalp to feel the support. You can do squeezing motion. This is what I'm doing under the hair, this and that, right? Just squeezing a little bit in circles around the top. You can close your eyes. So long day, lots of thinking, lots of doing things, getting stuff done. Can you give yourself 5 minutes of a little scalp massage? As you breathe, maybe you play a little song, especially around the edge of the skull here, top of the neck, base of the skull, the occipital bone. We carry so much tension. It's almost as if you had stitches there, you know, like something like tight. So you go and circle around it. Notice that I'm keeping my mouth open, so I'm not doing this and tensing up the jaw at the same time. That would be mixed messages. And then lean back. Lean on your own weight. And the message here is, in this moment, I am okay. Your eyes look up, which they never do. They usually look down. If you can hold this without effort in your shoulders, lean on this chair. Take a breath, and in this moment, we are connected. We are okay. We are safe. We're here. You see how spiritual comes into the body, right? Because it's very soothing to feel this way. Soothing for your soul, not just your body. So let that go. And feel now again the energy flow throughout your whole body. And notice any difference between when we started and right now. And let me know how it feels. Thank you so much for the comments. Yeah, it feels like we come together in community to remind ourselves. My teacher Thich Nhat Hanh also says to walk each other home. And that has many meanings for me, because walking is something we do a lot in Feldenkrais. So I think, wow, all the meanings in that phrase, to walk each other home, to walk with each other, to remind each other, to walk with more uprightness and dignity and grace. So thank you so much. Indy, love you. Oh, one more thing I wanted to share, and I just realized now, because that was the last track. I was playing this playlist. I want to give credit where credit is due, from Spotify. It's called Universal Harmony. Can you see it? The focus of the camera is kind of wacky. Universal Harmony. And let's see if I can type the name of the artist, because wow, that is an amazing playlist. It's Mandharu, Mandharu, Universal Harmony playlist, and it's a 438, I think, 438 hertz. I'm not clear, but it's a special frequency for healing, and each of the tracks is for one of the chakras. So we went through the whole playlist together, which is 7 tracks, 7 songs, and it's such a beautiful, grounding and uplifting playlist that I use it a lot, and I decided to run it the whole today, and that's what we were listening. So if you have the, oh, there you go, thank you, 438 DM, thank you so much for your notes. Yeah, powerfully sustain one another. Yeah, and even this, sharing a playlist that is made by an artist that is probably made with a lot of love, and it can support us. It's sharing the love, right? It's sharing the power of one another's wisdom. Patricia, I love to hear that. You had a really bad cold, but you can breathe easier now. Wow. Indy says, you've turned my day around. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, my loves. You are beautiful. You are seen. You are appreciated. Your needs matter, and that's why I'm here. I love you. I send you to have a beautiful weekend. I hope to see you again next Saturday. And in the meantime, you can find me on my website, in the teacher's track here on Insight. Tiptoeing around social media again after a long break, so you might see some of my content there. And know that because we are entangled in this community, atomically, quantum-like entangled, you can close your eyes and bring back the feeling of the session right now. Put it in your heart's chest, in your vault, treasure chest of your heart. Map that in your brain. Remember it, much like you could close your eyes and bring a beautiful memory of, say, a sunset or a time spent with a loved one. You can remember this moment, and then whenever you want, you can connect with it again, and you'll bring back this moment with all the love that is here and everyone that is joined us. And that's how we stay connected through time, through space, in between sessions, in between events, in between distance. Yeah, because some of you are far away and we still can close our eyes and connect with one another. That's right. Yes, Anna, that was Universal Harmony on Spotify. I don't know if they have other channels, but they might. YouTube, they might have it. I play it in Spotify. Okay, dears. Anything else? Shall we go? It's hard to say goodbye sometimes, huh? When we are having so much good times together. All right. I'll see you again next weekend. Much love. Be well. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye, bye, bye. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.